The following program is sponsored by John Chachis Insurance, your local farmer's insurance agent located 800 Avenue G in Ely, and brought to you as a public service by KGTV Channel 10 in Ely, Nevada. Nevada Department of Transportation, Ely Downtown Reconstruction Project, August 7th, 2019.
We're going to give an update to the Ely Downtown Reconstruction Project, so we appreciate your time in coming out. Before we get started, I would like to recognize Mayor Robertson, who is here this evening. He'd like to say a few words before we get started.
We're glad everybody could come out here tonight, and we're really glad that Q&D could bring their team and NDOT. In any project, there's moments where you kind of got to redirect and do some things, and we're happy they're here to do it with the community and with the community's input. So we're happy they're here, and any input you can give, good or bad, they're here to hear it, and they want to hear from you guys. They want to hear from the community so that we can make the best decision for us going forward. So again, we appreciate their time here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. So before we get started, my name is Julie Maxey. I'm the Public Hearings Officer for the Nevada Department of Transportation. With me tonight is Sean Patterson. He is going to be going through the first few slides of the presentation. You should have received a handout packet when you signed in tonight. There is the presentation within that packet and also a comment sheet placed at the back. If you'd like to leave your comments here tonight, there's a comment box up front by our court reporter. We've got Lisa here tonight taking down the presentation verbatim, and she's also here and available to take down any verbal comment. If you'd like to sit down with her and give her a verbal comment as well, that will be captured as part of the public record. The comment period will end August 30th, so you've got all that time to either email, send a letter, any displays that maybe you want to submit will become part of the record. So we appreciate you taking the time to give us your feedback. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Sean.
So again, my name is Sean Patterson with the Department of Transportation. I'm a design manager. I'm the manager over the Ely project that we have here. Many of you may recognize me. I was here a year ago presenting. A lot of what we're going to be covering tonight is just an update on where we're at. It's been a year since we've been out here talking with you guys about it, and so what could we expect tonight? We've got project summary, project status update, opportunity to submit comments, and discussions with the project staff. So we had a lot of discussions prior. If we have time afterwards, we'll still be here. You guys can come up and we'll go back to the boards, talk about questions that you have. Again, like Julie said, we have the court reporter we can make comments to, or there's comment sheets out there. So overall project is a lot of what you're seeing out there right now. The blue line is currently being done, constructed, the 3R portion, as well as some trunk line ITS conduit that's being put in. That's under construction right now. You guys are probably driving through their construction zones every day as you're moving around. The project that we're really focusing on tonight is the red, and that would be the Downtown Reconstruction Project. It basically goes from 1st Street out towards 15th Street on East Allman, and then up Great Basin to Highway 6. The work elements, so we're roadway reconstruction, we'll have some lane reconfigurations, American Disabilities Act, which is ADA, that'll be the sidewalk and curb gutter improvements, curb ramps on the street corners, and lighting improvements, flashing pedestrian beacons. These are they're pedestrian activated flashers, so that when the pedestrians are crossing the heavier used areas, crosswalks, they'll be able to push a button. They'll blink an LED amber light to warn the drivers that the pedestrians are trying to cross. Aesthetics, drainage and utilities improvements, fiber optics. The fiber optics that we're actually installing, there'll be some internal NDOT fiber going in for some of our needs, and then we are putting in a trunk line for future fiber optic expansion throughout the downtown corridor. traffic signal improvements. So these, if you guys have been here before, they're gonna look very similar. If you're over on the boards, they're also what we have on the boards. You've got your before and after at the Copper Queen. So this is one of those pedestrian activated flashers up here. And so when the pedestrians are coming down across the crosswalk, they'll be able to hit a button. Those will blink to advise the drivers that somebody's getting ready to cross. The downtown corridor is right here across from the Nevada Hotel. And there's the before and after. We're looking at, we'll be maintaining the on-street parking that's currently down there, putting in bike lanes. We'll be converting the current 4 lanes that are downtown into 1 lane in each direction with a 2-way left turn lane in the center, similar to what you have on Great Basin heading up the left turn lane. Intersection improvements at Great Basin and Altman. We'll be having a free right to the east, and I guess it actually heads north. And then there's the 2 lanes going up, so we'll be doing the same thing with that complete streets concept. We'll be altering the striping a little bit. We'll be improving the intersection with dual left turns here. So you'll see the trucks in the left lane, or I'm sorry, the right lane. Cars are in the left lane. Those will be able to move simultaneously through this intersection and up towards Highway 6. And so that should improve the functionality of that interchange significantly. And then the before and after of East Altman. This is, as you can see, this is right by the tire store. And this is where we'll be transitioning back out of that complete streets concept into the 4-lane configuration for East Altman. And then we've got the drainage improvements. As some of you have been around a while, you know that the downtown section has been historically flooding occasionally. We are actually going to upgrade the downtown storm drain system to hopefully relieve a lot of this. And the route that we'll be following goes from the, middle school is where the majority of the box improvements start to take place. And we'll be heading east out towards Ogden, at which point we'll leave the NDOT right of way and we'll be going through the city right of way, up through the museum, down through the city and the railroad museums right of way, out towards the railroad museum, and then out to this current culvert that's adjacent to the tracks out there north of town. So why the improvements? The big thing is trying to improve that there's a lot of maintenance, that a lot of the systems, the city is upgrading some water lines and some sewer lines, as well as, and hopefully that will, as well as our storm drain system on Great Basin and throughout the town, that will hopefully eliminate some of the monies that we're spending on maintenance to try to keep these functioning and give us longer longevity. Landscaping. John, do you want to talk about this one?
Good evening, my name is John Laitwall. I'm the landscape architect supervisor with the department. And I'm going to share with you some of the landscaping and aesthetic components of the project. We're focusing on the downtown core areas with most of the aesthetics, as well as having some sentinel signs or gateway monument entry signs into the city on some of the outlying streets. So what this slide will show is the proposal of street trees. We have new street trees being proposed, and there really are a component of the complete streets. So the complete streets offers us more space, more room up and down this corridor to add planting trees that are fully irrigated. We want to get color there, interesting foliage and shading there. One of the reasons why we do landscaping and aesthetics is quality of life. This is an important part of the project, and economic development, as well as just improving the visual quality of downtown. The street trees are selected to endure the challenging environments here, the winter and cold and the heat, as well as the form of the ones that don't branch out too far into the roadways. One of the concepts for this project, we like to have the landscape and the beautification, the trees and the planting are important, but also tell a little bit of story for the town. Some of the history, some of the culture. The culture here is fascinating throughout the years. We wanted to celebrate some of the cultures that were here early on, Hispanic, Slavic, Native American, Asian, just to name a few. These are examples of medallions that will be set into the concrete within the sidewalks. They're made out of porcelain, they're extremely durable, hard, and will be placed as medallions that you can walk across, but you can also enjoy the colorful form as you're taking a walk. The Sentinel signs are proposed now for out on Highway 6 and one on West Altman as you're coming into town, as well as close to the railroad tracks on East Altman, Highway 50. This is an example of one. Just to share with you some of the materials, we have these other slides that we're going to build these monuments quite large. They're going to be 13 feet tall. The form of the background is a painted rock formation made out of concrete form liner. The metal is a patinaed metal to look like copper, representing the copper mines, as well as stainless steel and a rock base there. They will be lit. Off to the right, there's renditions of the lighting. Conceptually, right now, we're thinking of lighting the back. We may change that to have it just completely uplit from the base and just shine the whole sign. This will be a nice way to welcome people into the city. This is the train number 40, the historic train. Saw it for the first time today. It's amazing. Got some great photos. Incredible train museum. We want to celebrate that for sure. And then the celebration of the Lincoln Highway is another historic component of this wonderful city. This will be on the East Altman. And with that, I'm going to now introduce you to Jay Pullen, our project manager for the project. Thank you.
Now, unlike everybody else, I shake, so I would prefer to just put this on the stand so you don't have to watch me. Ooh, 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 ooh. Good evening. Thank you for coming. There is a lot for us to cover, and I had written a great presentation, and I thought it was great. And I thought about it, and the truth is that, you know, sometimes I have to write it in such a way that it's easier to understand. I look at it and I get caught up in all the details. It changes. There's a lot of moving parts to this project. And sometimes I need to sit back and remind myself, what is the message here today, tonight? And with that, I thought it was very important that we started this presentation off discussing what it is that we have shown you in the past. We changed a few things through this process, but it was really important so that we're not trying to pull a fast one on you. You are aware of what we showed you last year. And at this point, now I'm going to provide you with an update of where we are in terms of the pre-construction phase of this project, and of course talking about the current scope, budget, and schedule. Now, as I was introduced, my name is Jay Pullen. I met a few of you earlier prior to this presentation. I'm the project manager. What does that really mean? Well, my role is to manage and deliver major, complex, and significant or regionally significant projects. That's my goal. And this is still Sean Patterson's project. I didn't take it away from him. It's still a roadway project. I came here to facilitate because we changed the delivery method, and my goal is to explain to you tonight why we did that. Since last year, we showed you the complete streets. In fact, we had it where you looked on that slide where it kind of showed you the parts of the 3R project that's being constructed right now. This used to be one big project. The truth of the matter is that this project, the conception of it, has been going on for a decade. When I look at my own staff, I've been on the project since October, and the senior that we have with us has been on this project for 3 years. That's not a lot when you look at a project that's been evolving and growing for over a decade. So what does that mean? I can tell you that I was brought onto this project because when we reached 60% design, an engineer's estimate was performed and showed that it exceeded what the original budget was. We had a budget of 26 million, and the engineer's estimate was 40 plus. Okay, this was an eye-opener for us. It was a red flag. So what we did was we recollected ourselves, looked at the scope. The scope had been growing for over a decade. Things added to this project. And what we wanted to understand was, what can we do to show that we've done everything in our power to meet the intent of this scope to this city, but at the same time, do it within a reasonable budget. And we had to prove it to the department, our own supervisors, that this project really is worth that much in terms of its elements. So in October of last year, we performed what we call the cost risk assessment value engineering. This is a special study that looks at a project and actually identifies risks to it. This project has a lot of challenges. This is a very interesting project. When you look at, I've heard a lot about Reno and Carson City and talking about Vegas, but I have never seen a project so complicated as this one. This was very unique in itself. You have the FEMA floodplain through US 50. Major challenge. We can do improvements on that corridor, but we cannot make it worse. And as of right now, we know in certain areas, you have a foot of water during the 100-year flood. We can't add an inch to that, which means whatever we commit to, we have to build and make sure that we're either making it better or we're making it the same. Another challenge is local market conditions. That is a challenge for us, and it's hard for us in terms of, for Sean to use historical bids to use them to get a reflective of what that local, because the market changes. And as you know, we have a lot of construction projects out there. It's not famine season right now. There's a lot of projects, and sometimes it's hard to get good contractors on board at a reasonable price. Another challenge is we have basically quality material resources. We have pretty high standards. In order to get that in, it's going to cost a premium, given the location. Another thing is large box culverts and confined spaces. When we're looking at the downtown corridor, you're literally looking at face of building to face of building. It's a nightmare. Ideally, we would like more room. But when you're telling us that we have truck traffic because of the mine, we can't stop them. And there's no viable alternate route for them because the city streets aren't designed for trucks that size. So not only do we have to put in giant box culverts, we have to keep businesses open, and we have to keep traffic running. That is a major challenge, and it's a risk. And if you're a contractor, and you're doing a normal, traditional design bid build, you're looking at me going, okay, I can do it, but I'm going to increase it by 20%. So the idea here was, how can we get an accurate reflection of controlling risk, and at the same time figuring out how we can minimize the cost? So the department made the decision to change the project delivery method. When I came on board, it was basically to say that we were going to do a construction manager at risk. The benefit of this type of delivery method is that instead of us guessing on how a contractor is going to construct, we hire a contractor. That contractor comes on board and they work with our designers one-on-one. And you have construction experience with design experience, and they innovate. They look up with ways to collaborate to say how I can save you money. Well, if you change this material, I can save you $20,000, or I can save you $1 million. And the designer's like, okay, that's fine with me. That's just our standard. We always put that design in, but I can modify it. It's not a big deal. These are the types of things we want to capitalize. So because of these types of challenges, we move forward with a CMAR. Now, one of the things I really want to stress here is that lowest bid, there's benefits to it and there's negatives to it. And I have to tell you that we did not hire the contractor for this project based on what Lois did. It was based on experience and qualifications. So when we have Q&D here, which I urge you, if you have not spoken to the contractor, I urge you to pester them, that's what we pay them for. Question them. They have years of experience. They understand city utilities. We don't. The department is not in the business of water and sewer. We have no idea. They're helping us. Okay, they have experience in Seymour, the Carlin Tunnel. To name a few. They have done these types of projects before. So when you see them up here, it's because since we hired them, it has been nonstop. The plans constantly change because all we're trying to do is to provide you, at least fulfill some of the promises that were made in the past. We know we have a budget issue. And with that, what we wanted to do was not delay the project. We wanted to see the cones drop next year in the spring. So how do we achieve that? Well, we break the project apart. Now, I know there's probably a slide I should jump to, but I get caught up in my own talking. So with that said, we don't want to delay the project. It's been delayed for many years. So what do? We break it into packages. Construction package A goes out with the initial $26 million that was budgeted. Construction package B, with Q&D, we will complete designs for that package by spring of next year. It's happening. We're going to get all of the right-of-way certifications. We're going to have it. It's going to be shelf ready. So as soon as funding becomes available, we're dropping on it. There's no hesitation on it. I can literally wave my hand and say, I have a project. And I can spend your money. So that is our goal. So that was the reason why, and I hope I explained it, why we broke it into two packages, to not delay. I want to see cones. I want to see something being constructed. If not, if we have to wait for the funding, then there's no urgency for our design team to get to 100% right now. Because lots of times, we don't want to design something unless we have funding for it. This is one of those rare opportunities where we're going, hey, you know what, we're going to keep going. We're going to continue agreements with the city, with the county, we're going to get it all completed. So with that said, two construction packages. And as you can see, our goal is to basically have a guaranteed maximum price from the contractor for package A by December, January, so we can present it to the Transportation Board. If NDOT accepts their estimate, they can begin mobilization by spring of next year for package A.
By when?
Spring. Now this slide is the most difficult for me, and it has to do with why everyone appreciates this job. All of our designers look at the excitements of our project. There are areas that are very canned, very traditional, but the downtown elements was something that we all stood behind and we all supported. It was exciting. The ability to do decorative lighting, the ability to have the landscaping irrigation system. I mean, I can't thank the city enough for everything they've done in terms of being willing to take on the maintenance burden for a lot of these facilities. Not only that, this is a very challenging drainage project. And I have a hydraulic engineer in the back who has been dedicating many hours and sleepless nights trying to make it work and to fix every conflict that we have been seeing in the downtown corridor. And with that said, I put all my chips in one basket. I truly believed I was going to take this $26 million and start on the downtown first. But what I'm going to do is explain to you why we didn't select that. As I said, it was the most popular aspect of the project, but at the same time, it was also the most difficult to decide. And the reason for it is the drainage. When you look at Great Basin and you look at downtown Altman, one of the things we realize is we are increasing the flows. And why are we increasing the stormwater? So we can reduce the FEMA impact. We want to make it so when we walk out of that downtown corridor that we have made an impact to the city and we basically reduced the FEMA impact plane, which means some houses won't be in that plane anymore. That was one of the goals. And I can tell you there's 10 of them. You know, I remind myself every time when we go through this project, what are our project goals? And one of them has to do, we want to make a difference in the community with the FEMA plane. So when we looked at that, we have to fix the outfall area. The area that's outside has the majority of the risk associated with it is in city right-of-way. There's been land swaps with property owners. It's right next to the railroad. It's in the backyards of homes in this community. We have to do that part first. Because if we don't put the infrastructure in place, we could have water blowout. If we do some other section and we never correctly made those types of improvements. When we looked at that, that's approximately $5 to $6 million. So with that said, what can we do with $20 million? Okay, approximately, based on the existing budget. And what it came down to is the downtown corridor is more than $20 million. In fact, I can't even cut all of the fat off of that corridor in terms of, even if I removed all the trees, all the irrigation, all of the aesthetical features, that's maybe 2 or 3 million. No, I would have to be making major cuts that would basically be violating our state and federal policies for FEMA and ADA. And we can't do that. So when it came down to how could we do the job right, it was the best answer, the most reasonable answer was to defer the downtown corridor until package B so we can do it correctly, we can do it right. So with that, we took the 20 million and we redirected our design team to work on Great Basin, and we are going to continue to work with Reconstruction to reduce the project costs so we can expand how far we can go on East Elman. The other thing is we feel terrible that we're not doing the landscaping first. So when we were looking at this, one of the things we decided upon is we're going to get those sentinel signs in this package. So it's not listed here, but the 3 sentinel signs that we agreed with the city to construct will be part of the first package. So with that said, where are we with package B? Well, right now, we literally knew where the limits for construction package A was going to be 2 weeks ago. And even then, even last week, we were fine-tuning how far we could stretch the money on 10th based on 60% designs. So with that said, our schedule is to have final designs for package A will be this fall. So we can have a 90% estimate and actually get really close down to what actually this package is going to cost. When it comes to package B, we're going to continue to move forward and we will have 100% plans. We'll have all agreements in place. We'll have necessary right-of-way certifications by spring of next year. It will be shelf ready, or shovel ready. All we need is the funding. The only thing I can add to this is that we've been processing this project to meet federal guidelines. Now the first package is 100% state funded. The reason why we're doing federal guidelines is because we want to maximize the opportunity to acquire funding. And if I limit it to just state funding, it'll be harder to achieve. So the intent is package B, when we receive that funding, could be federal because we've provided the necessary documentation and crossed all those requirements to do so. And with that, I appreciate your time. I'm going to hand it off to Julie, but I just want to really stress the fact that we planned this public meeting to fall in line with what I had scheduled for where we'd be at 60%. And we were very shocked that we weren't doing downtown first. We literally were. So the hardest decision for us was to select this package the way we did. And I hope that my explanation to this at least kind of gives you an insight of the path that we were taking to try to get there. And that is, we didn't want to stop the project. If we were to stop the project to find the funding, we're delaying it. So let's move forward. Let's take that 26 million and let's make use of it so that when the time comes, we can jump to the second package. And with that, I'll hand it over. Thank you.
Jay, can you flip the slide? Thank you. So we'll go ahead and go into the comment and question session. The technical expert will come up and answer your question depending on what it is. I'd like to ask you to come up to the mic. We'll give you about 3 minutes to make your statement, ask your question so we can get to everyone. Once again, my name is Julie Maxey, Public Hearings Officer for the Nevada Department of Transportation. When you do approach the mic, if you could please state your name and spell your last name for the court reporter, I would appreciate it. Thank you. So with that, we'll go ahead and open it up.
Am I facing this way or this way?
You're good.
My name is Tom Bath, B-A-T-H. And we're lifetime residents here. Anyway, my question, and I followed Jason's explanation. When was 26 million set? What year was that set?